Cuba, what to do before you go, how to plan for your trip. So I am coming to you today to talk to you about some amusing facts that I basically came to discover on my recent trip to Havana. The smoke is real, and what I mean by that is not talking about the Cuban cigars. I am talking about the smoke from the 1950s and all of those old school cars. You don't think about it, but these cars are old. They haven't gone on emissions like they do in the States. And there is so much smoke. I mean, in the morning in our Airbnb, we basically smoke the smoke heavily in the morning when people are getting going in the morning. So just be kind of prepared for that. At first, you might get a little headache. I know I did, but it's real. It's there. It's nothing you can really do about it. So just kind of beware of that. If you have allergies and things like that, go ahead and make sure you pack something to kind of combat that. You are really disconnected from everything. I know you might get down there and think, oh, the hotel has Wi Fi for free. I'm sure I'm okay. Yeah, they have Wi Fi, but it's not for free. Wi Fi is a hot commodity down there. How do you know where to find Wi Fi? Just look for a bunch of people standing around on their cell phones, and that is a Wi Fi zone. And just so you know, the Cubans, the locals, they call Wi Fi Wi Fi. So if you're asking around, make sure you say Wi Fi. You have to pay per hour, it's measured out. And you can either go to Calle 23, which is basically Street 23. Calle is street in Spanish. And basically, at that corner, the taxi drivers know where it is. There are locals selling their Wi Fi card, or excuse me, Wi Fi. And we basically had to go, it was dark, go up to like this little sketchy alley, and there's people just shouting out Wi Fi. And, I'm looking, struggling for my money in the dark, and gave her this card. I'm like, how does this thing work? Basically, it is a card that has a little scratch off, so be sure you look to make sure before you pay for it. Make sure it's not been used. There's going to be a code that should be not scratched off yet. And it was $3 for an hour. But let me tell you what this card was worth. So this is basically what I did with my money. I threw it in the trash can by spending money on that Wi-Fi card. That card was terrible, or the internet there is not reliable at all. The other option for getting internet access is to go into the Havana Libre Hotel, which is right in that same vicinity as Calle 23. And, as opposed to standing outside on the sidewalk, you can sit in the hotel lobby, have air conditioning, there are servers there if you need to get anything. So that's one option, but that internet was $5 for an hour, and it was just as bad. The thing about those internet connections over there is that they drop, the Wi-Fi, provided at the airport and on Calle 23 dropped probably every 5 minutes. And it was also very hard to connect because the site was in Spanish. So that's one thing. And in the hotel, it dropped probably every 10, 15 minutes. And when it drops, you think it would stop ticking away and eating away at your time, but no, it keeps going. So you basically probably get a good 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes out of that hour of service. And it was just, a waste of money. The Spanish classes that you took in, maybe middle school, high school, and college, you are in for a rude awakening if you think that you can use those when you get down to Cuba. Especially if you haven't been using it since. I speak a little Spanish, but once people start speaking it to me, who are native, that's their native tongue, yeah, I'm not good at, just, you have to speak slowly to me. So I understand a little bit. But the thing is, like, I know I know a good bit of Spanish words. But the thing is, when I open my mouth, I'm sure you can hear my lovely Southern accent. I am, they're looking at me like, what did you say? So getting around, even just back to my Airbnb, for whatever reason, no one knew that street, or either I was saying it wrong the whole time, but I felt like I was saying it right. Um, so basically, definitely download the Google Translate app. It works offline. If you have someone that speaks Spanish fluently, use them to talk, to get the rides to places, to negotiate, your tours, whatever you need to do. If you have someone that's fluent in Spanish, let them do all the talking, because once you open your mouth and you're kind of struggling, that's a dead giveaway. I can tell a lot of times the taxis are like, oh yeah, these are Americanos. Let's charge them double or triple. And, oftentimes we have to fight back. But yeah, definitely you're in for an awakening if you don't speak Spanish fluently. Don't get got in Cuba. And what do I mean by get got? Let's look. The Urban Dictionary defines get got as to con. Example: John is going to get got by those pyramid scheme fruit vendors. He is going to invest his money and receive nothing in return. Dude is going to get got. Other words are tricked, scam, taken advantage of, and normally don't even get got. Well, I guess I'm one of those people, and I'm here to warn you about what not to do in Cuba so that you don't get got. You basically need to watch your money. There are two forms of currency in Cuba: the Cuban peso and the convertible peso. So CUP is the Cuban peso, and CUC is the convertible peso. CUC is what you want and what you will be using. But however, some locals still, charge in CUP. So it kind of gets kind of tricky because you have to have a conversion app on your phone to kind of know what the conversion rate is. And here's where you will get got. Some vendors, and I wish I knew who did this to me. I still get kind of frustrated thinking about it. But some people will give you back CUP as change when you pay them in CUC. So, for example, I received a 5 in CUP, with the CUC, which is the currency I used throughout the whole trip, is worth one CUC is worth about 25, 26 CUP. So you can see how I felt when I discovered that I had 5 CUP back in change. So I was frustrated the whole trip because I didn't really discover that I had the wrong currency until I tried to pay what I thought was a 5 CUC to the taxi driver. And this guy looks like he's maybe a descendant of one of the mafia members. I'm not sure, but he turned on. He's like, no, this, and basically, like I saw my light flash before my eyes a little bit because I think he thought we tried to, pawn that off on him. I really did not honestly know that that was the wrong currency until he pointed it out. And so now, whenever I showed it to people, I'm like, look what someone gave me, and they laughed at me like, oh, that's no good. It's garbage. And even it was so bad to the point where this lady thought I was asking her for one, and she just gave it to me. She's like, souvenir, basically. And so, whew, don't do what I did. Make sure you use this currency and beware of people that give you this currency. So, and make sure you have a conversion app that works offline on your phone so you know what's going on. Because a lot of taxi drivers, locals, they charge you in CUV, and you kind of have to be quick about how much am I going to get back, and make sure you don't get CUV back. Uber Pool is based off of Havana taxis, the Havana shared taxis to be exact. I don't care what anyone says. I'm pretty sure that Uber probably got that idea from Havana. So there are shared taxis, and they're just the regular yellow taxis that you see, the nicer taxis with like Mercedes and like Corollas, or you could take an old school car, which is sometimes shared and sometimes not. And there are some taxis that are only um, for tourists, so you might want to be aware of that. If a driver is trying to charge you CUP. Technically, they're not supposed to be picking you up, but I don't know what all the legal ramifications, if there are any, regarding that. So, you can take those different types of taxis. The share taxis, you're basically standing out on the street and you're like, hey, telling the driver where you need to go, and people are just standing out in the street trying to flag them down, and if the taxis go that way, they'll pick them up. A lot of times when I stood out to signal down or flag down a taxi, I kind of was leery about taxis that were already full. So I did not really experience the shared taxi. Whenever a driver picked us up, he didn't pick up anyone else, either because no one was going to the area, or maybe he charges so much that he didn't need to pick up anyone else. I don't know. So I did not get to experience the shared taxi, but it literally could be like 4 or 5 people, the driver and 2 other people in the front, and then like 3 in the back, and it's packed. So I really think that Uber got that Uber pool idea from Havana. Um, they don't really have a method other than, hey, I'm already going this direction. It's basically you're standing out on the street and just saying, hey, I need to go here. The thing about the taxis, make sure you negotiate the fare before you get in. And like I said before, if you have someone that speaks fluently in Spanish, let them do the negotiating. As always, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. Drop your comments and any questions that you have. Be sure to check out the posts that I have in the information section.